Welcome to the webinar. We're talking about how to make slides better. And before the holiday season, Halloween to be particular, we're questioning whether you're afraid of creating scary slides. And what I mean by that is, I think everyone has experienced the boring presentation or the presentation that just didn't really match the speaker. And it kind of leaves this feeling like I'm wasting my time here. It's so subtle, but I've been in rooms watching attendees experience speakers for 30 years, and majority of speakers don't really put a lot of thought into their slides. And yet when you go to these big events, those screens are 20 or 30 feet tall. They're way bigger than you are on stage, and it's amazing that they don't put the thought in to what's showing up on that screen for the audience. Instead, they just put up their cheat notes or something. So that's kind of one definition of a scary slide. Oh, wow, we have someone from Slovenia. Welcome. I'm sure we're going to have some more joining here shortly, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. What you're going to learn today is I'm going to give you my 5 presentation designs tips to wow your audience. I call that from sedated to captivated. And I'm going to be revealing some before and after slides that will really open your eyes and help you connect with your audience and improve your presentation results. Now, what I promise you'll learn today is how you can take your information and put it in a format so people will understand it and be motivated by your expertise. And at the end of my presentation, I will show you how you can take it further if you want to. Don't you want to give them that wow experience that moves them into action and engages them to want to work with you? If so, you're in the right place. How many of you have a presentation coming up? If you can either raise your hand or put something in the chat to let me know you've got something coming up, in the next month or two, or maybe you're planning something for the new year. I know a lot of events happen in the beginning of the new year because it's a new year and they want to convey some information about their business to their sales staff or to their company as a whole or to their clientele. So you're in the right place if you speak to a live audience on stage or through webinars. You've wondered if your audience is grasping what you're saying, and you've considered that maybe your slides might be boring. So my name is Bridget Callahan, and I'm your presentation design expert. I'm also known as a PowerPoint guru, a graphics op, which is the technical term when I do live events, and also a speaker mentor. I help speakers when they're about to go on stage to calm them down, to set them straight. I also work with speakers when they're preparing to talk, making sure that it flows well. If they're doing a speak to sell talk, they need to really be mindful of the tension they create in the room. And where in the presentation does that tension show up? And how often speakers will quell that tension and they won't get as much people signing up or interested in their product. I've been a graphic designer all my life. I love art, and I'm an award-winning graphic designer, not only in package design, but print as well as presentation design, and been in this industry for 30 years. I've worked many live events, making changes for speaker slides just before they hit the stage, or providing that calm effect for them so they can be at their best. I've worked on large shows and small, and I've had the privilege of traveling to many places internationally. And I've had a lot of fun doing it. These are some of the road crew that I've worked with on, I think this picture was in Hawaii or the Bahamas, one or the other. They all kind of blend together after a while. I got to witness the results of these speakers and how their audience reacts. And unfortunately, I've seen many of them wondering if their time was well spent. I realize the impact the event can have on the audience, and I've seen all too often how speakers can make or break their experience based on their presentation or their delivery. It amazes me how much money is invested in an event with travel, hotels, meals, venue rental, and yet they don't spend much mind share to the content and delivery of their message. To give you a little more background about me, I've worked for many Fortune 500 companies, including medical, pharmaceutical, banks, manufacturing, food, and auto. And I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in fine art printmaking But I knew coming out of college, I wasn't going to make it as a fine artist. So I quickly got a job assisting an art director and learning the ropes of commercial graphic design. Through the years, I've done many different types of graphic design, from logos and training videos to ads and brochures, and also package design. I love package design because it sits on the shelf. It has like a timeless presence to it, and how it attracts the customer, all that kind of fun stuff. I've also done work for companies in their in-house art department, producing websites, large format graphics, and trade show displays. But the most fun that I find is working with people who are giving presentations and helping them to succeed and win with their business. I have many stories of working backstage and witnessing firsthand performances that are both good and maybe not so good. And I know how important it is to really connect with your audience and provide them with a great experience. I'm actually here today as an advocate for your audience. I want to make you, the speaker, better for them so that they do connect with you and they do see your brilliance. Being their voice, I want to let you know that what they need to see in order for them to consume and understand the information you're providing. So it's the visual communication that I help you with. You have the words that you're speaking, you have the content, you're the expert in your field, but I'm the expert in taking that information and portraying it visually so that the brain and the audience can comprehend it. My commitment is to abolish the boring slide and create a win-win experience for you and your audience. So my promise is to keep it simple, tell a story, use nice images, make it memorable, and less is more. And let's have fun doing it. I mean, why not? So my first step here is keep it simple. In this slide, I'm showing you slide sorter view of a deck of slides I got from a client. And it's important to know how long your talk is so that you can build a cadence to the amount of visuals you want to use. A good rule of thumb is 1 slide per minute. There may be times when you use more than 1 slide a minute, or sometimes a slide may reveal many elements that take several minutes to complete. Start to eliminate what you don't need as you're talking. You can use your slide layout as a form of editing. I look at the slides and see what is being said and then support that. Having all the text on the slide that you're speaking to actually diminishes the understanding that the viewer can consume. What happens is they try to read the words with you and then they are focusing on what the words are instead of what you're saying. An alternative is to use brief bullets if you have to, or simple words or pictures. Visuals actually help the viewer to listen to what you're saying and comprehend it better. So my comment to this is don't create the eye chart. This is industry speak for when we see slides like this. We're on headsets in the event, right? And it's like, oh my God, it's another eye chart. And it's silly because no one can read it. I don't know if any of you in the audience has ever experienced a doctor's presentation, but they seem to all use the same blue background. They seem to take all their data and put it on the slide because they think everything is important and that it needs to be there for them to comprehend it. But you in the audience can't even read the text, can't read the numbers. And so they pull out their laser pointer and they point or circle to an area, but it doesn't have any meaning, again, because you can't see what he's pointing at. So there are other ways to convey information and the important points of a slide than just putting everything on a slide. And that's where I bring my expertise into it. So let's take a look at some before and afters. And this is a client I did some slides for, and this was their logo slide for walking in. What's next is really incongruent with the theme of the event. So this is their award slide. So they were having a gala dinner. They were giving awards to their salespeople, and these were the slides they were going to use to present these awards. Here's another one. And, you know, that typical animation, I'm going to run through it again. We've all seen it, that spinning animation. It's like, oh, you know, it doesn't mean anything. It really diminishes the slide. So, you know, we want to simplify it. We want to make it grandiose. Come on, it's like the Academy Awards for these people. So we gave them an evening session awards slide to introduce the awards. And then we announced the winner, nice and big and bold and easy to see. And it worked. It had so much more impact. And here's another slide from their deck explaining financial growth. And they're talking about how time flies. But, you know, that 185 M in the blue circle is really hard to read. It's black text on a dark blue circle. You can't even really see it. And it's kind of like just an image they threw together. It really doesn't have any meaning. Now, I just, you know, themed it to a new design and gave it a little different look just so it's a little more visual. Okay, so like 1.6B is way bigger than 185M. And then here's another slide where they were announcing their sales management team. And it's an okay slide. But again, I want to bring out a point here to make you notice. If you want to put your audience to sleep, design your slides on a white background. And what I mean by that is when you're looking at reflected light, like slides or television or, you know, visuals on screen, your eyes go to the light. So if the background is all light, then your eyes are fighting the background to read the dark text. So when you look at other slides, notice when it's a dark background and the text is a light color, notice how your eyes are relaxed and they can read the content better, and it's just a little easier. So in some cases, you'll see some of my slides where I'll alternate dark backgrounds and white backgrounds, but it kind of changes it up. But don't do every slide on white. You real exhaust your audience, and it does them a huge disservice. So the redesign on this was a simple table. You know, made their names bigger, gave them like a blue background to really have them stand out, and then a smaller text to talk about their area. And then the last one for this set is, oh my gosh, the dreaded 3D Microsoft text. It looks amateur. Okay, so all I did was just clean it up, get some good readable fonts, and make it nice and big and on their new background. And you can see it's just a little more pleasing to look at. All right, so the next tip I'm going to share with you is you want to tell a story. It's big nowadays. I don't know if you've heard it, but almost everyone is telling stories now. You'll see it in advertising. You'll see it on news shows. It's like, you got to tell your story. Everything's tied to a story, but there is meaning behind that, because in the story, we can remember more, or it has more impact. That you pull that emotion out and it really makes a difference. So the second tip is tell a story. So this was a client and they brought this slide. You saw the deck earlier where I scrolled through it. That was their slides. And one of them was this one. And she spoke to this one for quite a while. And so what I want to do is I want to show you this slide, and then I want to show you the after slides of what I did. So I'm going to read the script twice, but it won't take too long. So the comfort zone is not our friend. When you're in a comfort zone too long, what happens to your energy? What happens to your mindset? What throws you out of your comfort zone? Stretch yourself to learning sets off an alarm in your brain. Your brain wants to stay in the status quo. You're either growing or decaying. If you stay in your comfort zone, it's getting smaller and smaller, and we start fighting for it. You're either growing or decaying, and there's nothing in between. Have you ever been in a retail store where all the workers were in their comfort zone? You know, they're in their comfort zone and they're not there. They've disappeared. When you are in your comfort zone, who are you serving? That's right, you're serving yourself. So now I'm going to deliver the story with my visual version. You're in your comfort zone. When you're in your comfort zone too long, what happens to your energy? What happens to your mindset? What throws you out of your comfort zone? Maybe Hurricane Matthew? Stretch yourself to learning sets off an alarm in your brain. Your brain wants to stay in the status quo. You're either growing or decaying. If you stay in your comfort zone, it gets smaller and smaller, and we start fighting for it. You're either growing or decaying, and there's nothing in between. Have you ever been in a retail store where someone's in their comfort zone? You're looking for someone to help you, and the staff could care less. They were there in their own world, managing their tasks and oblivious to you, the customer. When you are in your comfort zone, who are you serving? That's right, you're serving yourself. So as you can see, it tells a story, not only a verbal story, but a visual story. And with those visuals, the brain retains more information much deeper. Your brain utilizes 10 times more brain mass to comprehend images as it does hearing words. What that means is you're going to remember the story much better when it's tied to great images. All right, so here's a couple of examples I call clean and congruent storytellers. So this first one, we have 3 words we're talking about, and when you merge them together in that center, it provides compelling confidence. And then this one is telling a story of a coach who moved from the East to the West Coast, and then his logo faded to white. So it was kind of like an ending slide. So just a brief interlude here. I just want to kind of preface one of my pet peeves and urge everyone here to stop using bullets. Why? Because bullets kill. So these next slides are going to show you how you can convey bullets differently so they don't look like a list of bullets. So here's the first slide. You have a number on it. It's about getting attention. So think of this as a 3-bullet slide where the first bullet would be get attention. And you know what a message must do is get attention. And then the second bullet is create interest. And then the third bullet is cause thought or action. So you could see in 3 simple slides, we can go through the bullets without having them read a bunch of text, and you can talk to these bullets and they make more sense. Here's another one. What will we learn today? How successful restaurants become and stay successful, how success is not an accident, and 2 important components that give you the best chance for success. Just a different way of showing bulleted text. And then here's a third one, the 3 big components to success. So you can see there's lots of ways you can lay your slides out that it can be more interesting, more compelling, and doesn't have to be that typical slide deck we've seen from 2nd graders. Okay, so this next story is an actual slide I got from a client, and he had about, I don't know, 7 or 8 slides of this conversation. The thought bubbles. They were thought bubbles of what a plumber's thinking versus what the mom is thinking, and it's all about customer service and how you can actually get repeat customers by upping your customer service. We designed it this way, and the plumber's thinking, I want to sell you more. And the mom's thinking, I want to pay the least. So then he says, to sell as many services as I can. And she's just unclog my drain, please. And for 80 to 100 bucks. And then the result is he solved my problem quickly and for a fair price. And he realized I fixed the problem and made a major move towards creating a long-term customer. So ultimately, that was a win-win for both of them. So this was a marketing presentation I did for a speaker, and I did his whole deck like this. And he had audience members come up to him afterwards, asking him where, you know, what template was he using, like it was a template. But they were very engaged. He gets rave reviews all the time. He gets higher numbers showing up at his events than the other speakers that speak periodically. So they do make a difference. Okay, tip number 3, use nice images. So this is an actual image I saw on someone's slide. You've seen these typical images, they're memes or whatever, they pull them off the internet and they slap it on a white slide. Well, how can we design this differently? So just isolate the image, make it bigger, and then put the text on a dark background so it's easy to read. So you can see, I'm going to go back to the other one. Look, notice how the white is distracting. It's jarring. It's like the image is there, yeah, but I can't really swim in the image like I can here. Does that make sense? All right, so here's another example. This is another client's slides. They were, I mean, basically it's like a bulleted slide, but you have images replacing it. But even the layout, you know, you have text overlapping the picture. It's kind of hard to read. It's not really in a grid, and you've got that crazy white background again. So here's just the revision. Her color scheme was dark purple, so we used that purple color for the text. And the images are in a grid, they're consistent, and they're easy to see. And these could be revealed one at a time if you want to. And then here's another slide from her deck, again, listing bullets. And it's a nice picture, but it's just not utilized well. And it's also a grainy picture. So when I worked on it, I got a newer version of the picture that's bigger, so it's nice and clean, and then just overlapped a less important area of the slides to list the bullets, because she really needed to have all her bullets listed. And we just used a different icon for the bullet so it doesn't look like a typical bulleted slide. And then this one, again, lots of text. Do we really need all this text? And some of the text doesn't even make sense. If I'm reading it, I would have to hear you speak about it. What I did was relayed it out and made the image much bigger. It's a very descriptive image of, young to old. And they're talking about problem and solution. And then here's one more. Again, bulleted text. I'm not sure why they bullet the ors. To me, this is more like a poetry, kind of like you're just reading text. It's not necessary to have bullets. We just relayed this out. Just make the image full frame and just use little brief words, 1 or 2 or 3 words max. And as you reveal it, it's a lot more compelling. And then this was a graphic I created for her. This is an animation. And she was talking about, staying in faith, and you can't go halfway because then you get into the worry and trust issues. That worked really well for her. She loved that one a lot. So how many of you remember what I said when I was showing this slide? I was talking about traveling and working live events and working with the speakers and stuff. So I'm just trying to see from an image, you can remember more of what's said when you see that image again. I'm just trying to mirror how powerful images can be. Tip number 4, make it memorable. And how do we make it memorable? Well, I'm going to show you some examples of tasteful animations and reveals to help make the concepts memorable. And I'm going to talk a little bit through the slides as they animate, because they animate automatically based on a cadence of what the speaker was saying. So I'm just going to give you kind of a feel of how the animation works with what they're saying. It's almost so well timed. It's like a video or a commercial you'd see in Hollywood. They time everything exactly, but that timing can really have stellar results. So here we go. That vision depends on our ability to increase the number and engagement of consumers and merchants and the number of products that they are using. By increasing the number of branded placements, we drove an acceleration of both new merchants and consumers. But the world is closer to 10 trillion, so our market share is actually quite small when you consider all of the commerce opportunities in our scope. Stocks opened in 2008 at $16 per share and flatlined for 2 years. And it increased sixfold to over $114 in share by 2015. So 5 from 3 is 5 metrics from 3 missions. This was a slide that was created right around the Olympics. So they wanted to create those 5 rings to be the Olympic rings. So we animated that to look like the Olympics. That was pretty cool. So that just gives you an idea of how tasteful animations, when used well, can really help up-level and convey the message better. So that's how you make it memorable. You don't want to use an animation just because. You want to solidify concepts and add tasteful reveals that brings meaning to the message. A good animation doesn't get in the way. It doesn't scream, "Hey, look at me." The best animations you don't really notice. It's just nice and pleasing. It's appropriate. All right, ready for tip number 5? Here we go. Tip number 5, less is more. I'm sure everyone's heard that. Don't put too much text on a slide. Well, don't put too much of anything on a slide. So this last deck is a deck I did for that marketing speaker. And you can see we've got a few slides with dark backgrounds. We got a few slides with white backgrounds, but they're peppered throughout. And when you go through the slides as he's talking, it just makes sense. Less is more. You just have a simple, clean title slide. And this is the title slide that they may walk into. It might hold on the screen for 10, 15 minutes while everyone's assembling. And then you have an introduction slide. Who is this that's speaking? What is their claim to fame, so to speak? And then he starts talking about these 10 commandments. One of them being know your customer. So he'll talk for like 5 minutes on Know Your Customer, but we're just staying on this one slide. But you can really see that this image speaks 1,000 words because it's rich. As he's talking about why is the customer important, you're looking at the products, you're looking at the displays, you're looking at his face, his smile, and him graciously handing the product to her and she's accepting it. And you're just putting all this unconscious meaning to what he's saying about know your customer, that you're going to walk away after this, 90-minute presentation, really holding in more of what he said. This next one is know their demographics and psychographics. Just a simple slide. These images can be found in photo banks. They're not that expensive. They're the legal way to get good imagery in a slide. They're worth it. I love this image. Offer your customers something they value. Now, if you look at her, you can tell she values shopping. But it's beautiful, it's colorful, it's a great image. And when we look at images with people in it, the first thing our eyes do is we go to their eyes. And what are they looking at? And so she's looking at her packages. It's important when you pick an image to see where is our eye going in this image? And if someone's looking at someone, where are their eyes looking at? Is it balanced? Is it centered? All this kind of stuff. Another slide, communicate benefits and solutions. So really, these are separate bullets to a whole presentation, or he calls them the 10 commandments of marketing. And this is a favorite. So this is our title here, title slide. Effective communication is what is remembered and acted upon. And he had 4 bullets. He had, you must entertain, you must engage, you must inform, and you must have a call to action. So this is a creative way of doing a bulleted slide. And this picture, again, it speaks 1,000 words. Look at their expressions. It's so great. Another slide, some of you probably have seen this in the photo banks, but it really made sense because the whole title was create value. And I found this slide that said create value. So it really fit. And then value is quality over price. And then speak the language of the customer. Again, a very engaging face. You just want to look at her eyes. You look at her smile. There's nothing distracting here. There's no black lines around the photo. It's just nice and clean text and a picture. And the text actually is colored to match the darker colors of her hair. So there's a congruence there. And then here's a slide of text on a chalkboard. Serve the underserved, not the overserved. That is his wrap up of the 10 commandments of marketing. So you kind of get a feel of what is the potential of a great slideshow and how is it going to engage your audience and how is it going to connect with you better and really see, wow, you are an expert in your field. I'm glad I came today. So let's recap. Number 1, we said, keep it simple. Use only one thought per slide. Eliminate unnecessary elements that may distract from the message. Number 2, tell a story. Remember, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So if you can't talk very long, a picture can speak a lot more about it. Use nice images. Nothing more to be said there. Make it memorable. Using tasteful animations and reveals, you can make complex data easy to consume. And number 5, less is more. Limit the amount of text on a slide so that the text you do use is nice and big and readable from the back of the room. So what would it be like to have that kind of transformation in your next talk? Well, I hope you learned some things today. To me, this is really valuable stuff. This is kind of what I preach all the time when I work with speakers. I'd like to see a show of hands, but I bet presentations look different to you now. And you'll never be able to sit in another presentation again without ignoring these distinctions. You're going to probably nitpick. You're going to say, oh, wow, those are great slides. Or, oh, wow, they could have done this. But this is going to make you a better presenter going forward. Remember at the beginning, I was going to share with you something with the rest of the time that we had, and I was going to show you how we can take it further. So I just want to kind of walk through this imaginary destination I'm taking you through. It's a place where you get all your questions answered and raise the level of your presentation skills. So imagine you're sitting in front of your computer and you're working on your slides, and you have an expert with you showing you how to find the perfect picture or how to display your text in a meaningful and engaging way. You no longer worry about how to build a slide, or you no longer question, what do I say here? You are empowered and even excited to create your own presentation and deliver it. And project forward into the future, and you're about to go on stage and deliver your talk. You're confident, you're open, and you're ready to go. You know your slides rock and your audience will be fully engaged, and you deliver your talk. And then you walk off stage. You have goosebumps on the back of your neck as the audience claps and cheers for your presentation. You feel like a rock star now, and there's no turning back. And to make this a reality, I'm offering a free What's Possible strategy session. It's a call with me to review your slides and see what steps you need to take to go to the next level of your presentation results. How do you reserve your spot? Well, go to presentationdesignexpert.com/SS for strategy session, and we'll give you a chance to review your slides and discuss how we can up-level your presentation. The value is $150, but I'm giving this to you free because I really want to make a difference for speakers out there and really make a huge difference for the audience so that they feel valued and they are glad they came. What is it worth to you to have your presentation slides done and ready for your next talk? What results would you produce beyond what you've done before that you are showing up as an expert? And how great would it feel to know that that part of your talk is already handled? Well, some of you may not know, but I'm a black belt in martial arts. I'm a 3rd degree black belt in Shotokan Karate of America. And I've been practicing martial arts for 30 years. I have traveled to several countries participating in international gatherings and tournaments, and was grateful to represent the US in an international competition a couple times. And I've become lifelong friends with many of these individuals throughout the world. And what that's instilled in me is an acute sense of awareness and consideration for my surroundings. It's brought out my passion to value everyone's time here on earth. And it's like a samurai mentality of effectiveness in everything I do. It even bleeds into the work I do for presentations. When we're at a live event and we're working with the speakers and the audience is coming in, there's a lot of tension there. There's a lot of anticipation, excitement, all kinds of emotions are brought up. And when you're working that type of event, you want to be calm. You don't want to be agitated. You don't want to be short with anybody. And so this martial arts mentality really helps me at live events. And I actually bring calm to the speakers just in who I'm being. So I want you to know that I will fight for you to win with your audience. I want to make sure that everything is in place and impeccable so that you deliver your message and inspire your tribe. So to sign up for a possible strategy session for What's Possible, again, go to presentationdesignexpert.com/SS, and I will send you a link to upload your slides and before our scheduled call, and we'll see how we can make them better. I would love to talk to you personally. I'm here for you. Thanks for coming today, and we'll see you on stage. All right, bye everybody.